In order to create a solid, successful plan, any plan, you have to have the right tools. So, in order to create a successful financial plan, we have to have financial tools. So, that's what this chapter is going to focus on. We're going to look at several different financial tools and how to use them. One of the cornerstones to financial success is that simply you pay attention to the details of your personal finances and you keep track of your records. You keep good records of what your money is doing. And remember, I said I also want you to focus on how this information can be used professionally. So you have to have a good understanding of some of these financial tools if you're going to help others achieve financial success and work through some of their potential issues. Now, for most chapters, I'm going to give you some short-term goals, things that, while you might not think that you can start working on a financial plan as a college student, there are some things that you can at least start to think about if you can't physically do them just yet. For instance, you can develop some financial goals and you can update and revise them annually. You can develop a cash flow statement and a spending plan, which is part of what you're going to do with our big budget project. You can track your net worth and financial ratios. Even if you don't have a whole lot of assets, you can still do that. Use an uncomplicated but effective personal financial record keeping system. And openly and honestly communicate about money matters with loved ones on a regular basis. So when I say creating a financial plan or financial planning, what does that really mean? The definition is the process of developing and implementing a coordinated series of financial plans. Usually, we think in terms of a budget or maybe setting some savings goals, some investment goals. A financial plan encompasses a whole lot more than that. It's not just about budgeting, it's not just about managing your cash flow. It involves a lot of different moving pieces. So that's where we're going to go with this chapter. This might be a fun throwback for you from 2065 if you remember talking about inputs, throughputs, and outputs, right? So here's the plans that we're going to make for spending, the plan we're going to make for risk management, and the plan we're going to make for capital accumulation or investing and having our assets earn more money. And each one of these will include the inputs involves our financial values, our financial attitudes, the lifestyle that we desire, our wants, our needs, other people. Our managerial efforts are this throughput section, and here's where we're going to kind of focus today. It is the planning and decision making and how we control and evaluate that. So if you remember from 2065, you can see how this whole nice little chart works together to to help us achieve financial goals. Another thing that you might remember from 2065 is how values or cultural influences might affect our decisions that we make about resources. So considering our financial values or the fundamental beliefs that we have about money and financial success will be a huge part in determining where we want to go. What we hold as values related to financial decisions, if we value having a lot of money or living in a certain size house in a certain neighborhood, then our plan is going to look a lot different than if we have place value on more modest means, or if we value an early retirement or something specific we want to do in retirement. But our financial values are going to be a basis from which we make our decisions and base our goals, our financial goals. A financial goal is just a specific objective, right? It's a specific amount of money, it's a specific something you want to acquire, and it usually comes with specific standards in place. Again, all of these things should come back to you from 2065. And they should include measurable marks, which can be those financial strategies, the pre-established actions that guide your financial plan. So if we were in class, I probably will ask you, what are some of your financial goals? And you might say something like to save enough money to go to graduate school, or to save enough money to put a down payment on a car or a house, or something like that. Well, in order for it to be an effective goal or an achievable goal, you need to put those strategies in place that usually include specific times and specific amounts of money. I want to have this amount of money saved up for graduate school, and that's a year away. So, how much money do I need to be putting away every month to achieve that goal? And along those lines, stating specific goals, stating specific measurable benchmarks, how do we know we are making progress? Well, some things are a little easier to see. If we say we want to save $10,000 for a down payment on a car by the next 2 years, we can look at the amount of money we have. If that's broken into monthly savings plans, am I able to put up that exact amount of money every month? So that's pretty easy to see. But otherwise, how do we analyze financial progress? Let me give you another analogy. Let's say you were on a specific health quest. You have some specific health related goals. Maybe you want to lose 10, 20 pounds. What would you use to assess that? You would use a scale, right? Something that you can get a measurement of. So how can we take a measurement, if you will, of our finances? And we can do that by using some of these financial statements. They give us a kind of a picture of our current financial condition, and then we can look at them later and see if we've made progress or not. And a very basic one is called a balance sheet, and that is how we that's how we assess our net worth. And so let's go to the next slide to show you how that works. So net worth is kind of exactly what it sounds like. How much are you financially worth, or what is your overall financial worth in dollar values? And to get that, we have to look at assets and liabilities. So assets are things that we own, things that have monetary value that we own. So that could be a house, that could be a vehicle, that could be cash on hand, that could be money in a savings account, that might be some stocks and bonds, that might be some American Eagle silver dollars that your grandfather gave to you, anything that you have that has value. And then you have your liabilities. That's money that you owe. If you owe money on a vehicle, if you owe money on student loans, if you whatever you owe, whatever you have a debt on, those are your liabilities. So to get your net worth, you take all of your assets, everything that you own, you subtract your liabilities, everything that you owe, and that number gives you a net worth. It's not uncommon for college students to have a negative net worth, and there's a word for that. It's called insolvent, and that is one of your key terms for this chapter. That's not uncommon. But if you did this every year, you could look at the direction your net worth was going. So if you have because you have student loans and you don't really own anything of value yet, you might have a negative net worth of 20 grand. But then next year you've paid off a couple of $1,000s and your net worth might increase. So this gives you a good tool to be able to measure your progress. You can see what your net worth is doing from year to year. So breaking it down a little bit further, what exactly constitutes assets? I said it's everything that you own that has some monetary value. And there are three different major types of assets. Monetary assets. cash or cash equivalent. Now we'll use this word liquid a lot. Liquid means the ease at which something is converted into cash. So money in a savings account that you can go pull out for cash, that's a liquid asset. Something that you might, like a mortgage, that you might have to sell a home to get some value back out of it, that is not a liquid asset. So monetary assets are cash or cash equivalents, checking accounts, savings accounts, those sorts of things. Tangible assets, or use assets they might be called, are other things that you own that are like physical. Tangible means you can touch it or use it, right? That have value. A house, a vehicle, perhaps some precious metals, jewelry, any of those sorts of things would be tangible assets. And then investment or capital assets or any investments that you might have, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, those sorts of things. And liabilities are usually broken into short and long-term liabilities or debts. Short term might be medical bills that you owe, a credit card statement. Long-term liabilities are usually longer-term loans like student loans, mortgages, other personal loans, perhaps a car loan, those sorts of things. And so, like I mentioned earlier, you take all of those assets, you subtract your liabilities, and that equals your net worth. And so, like I said, you want to be able to measure your progress. Well, progress would be increasing your net worth, right? So, how can we do that? We can increase our assets. We can put more money into savings or investments. We can purchase things that hold value and decrease our liabilities, pay off those existing debts that we owe, or a combination of both. But the important thing is to be able to see progress from year to year to year.